We're back with our good friend Joe, and this time we're going to hear, this is part 2. So now I hope you're all warmed up from part 1, because now we're getting into the good stuff.
We're going to get into some crazy stuff.
I'm excited.
So what are you going
to share?
Okay.
Come on.
We can go from hospital stuff.
Yes.
So I started realizing there was to jump in. I highly recommend listening to part 1. Like, you're going to be very lost.
Yeah.
So in the hospital, I realized there was a demonic ecosystem, right, that uses our soul. And then I started asking God more about what does that demonic ecosystem look like? And I started really getting to see it, which led me on a journey of going, how do witches get their power?
That is a great
good question.
Right? And so that led me into listening to Dan Duvall.
Yep.
And Dan Duvall ended up talking about, it was soul tides and connections, right? It's the legal documentation that you have signed going, by having a fence with you, I'm signing permission that you have more authority than God. And now you can assault me, and anything you have demonically can assault me. That's what a soul tie is. It's a legal documentation. We bought a property together. That's a soul tie. Right. But it's in the spirit.
Yeah.
And so,
how else can people get soul ties? Because I know the answer, but just...
You can get it through any act, if there's an emotional connection from somebody. So if you bump into somebody in the middle of the road and you feel like an anxiety or something and you never take that, you can get that. You can get it through sharing of anything, really. There's lots of
What's the main one you think people tie to?
Well, then mostly tied to sex.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sex is the number one thing they tie it to.
Sex is the number one way to get a massive soul tie.
Absolutely.
A strong
Yep.
soul tie. And it's funny because I'm at an age now where, 59.
Yeah.
And so when I talk to friends and they're like, oh, I can't wait to go back to the reunion because so-and-so is going to be there. Well, because you had a soul tie, because you had a romp in the back of your car at prom, know, and they never prayed that, broke it off, dealt with it.
Yeah.
So there's a tie.
Yeah. And then you're fantasizing about it and not even realizing it has occupation in your dreams.
Yes.
In your dream realm is your spirit connecting to whatever is your master.
Yeah. It's true.
So if your master is fear and you're having a lot of nightmares, that is your master.
Right.
If your master is God, I've had scary dreams in the spirit that were in God that I knew I was safe and he was showing it to me to pray. But I've had other dreams where I was totally disconnected from God that were scary, that I woke up hopeless.
Right. Right.
The difference is the source. Who am I connected with? How am I kind of operating? So asking those questions about soul ties, asking those things, how we're connected spiritually, it led me into the courts of heaven. Started praying through the courts of heaven, going, God, hey, Jesus became pretty much the lawyer on our behalf, going, I am now signing with my blood that anything that they do, sin or whatnot in their life, is forgiven as long as it's applied. But we forget to apply it. Right. And then that lack of applying is an open door. So a lot of it comes down to us.
Yeah.
And then I even look at how God created us. We have the ability to create futures and destinies.
Yeah.
We're made in the image and likeness of God, eternal beings. It is literally beyond time.
Yeah.
And if we can create like he created, we can create any destiny we perceive, which is the one thing that I notice people that aren't connected to God, they feel the most hopeless. They have the least amount of direction. They don't know what to do with their life.
Right.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because they're not connected to the source that is helping them create the destiny that's written on the soul.
Right.
Yes.
That's good.
Oh,
so
good.
Right. I was like, okay, God, what's going on with this? So I started asking and praying. And after the David Hogan issue, that a situation that happened, it led me into, okay, God, I want to raise the dead.
Yeah.
Right.
So one of my friends he was a pastor friend of mine. He was a friend of the pastor, Bob Hall.
Yeah.
He did deliverance for years.
Yeah.
He taught me a lot of deliverance and stuff. We'd play music together. Well, after he passed away, it was kind of a hard time, but I was like, no, he's where God's got him. But we all went and we're going to go pray for his body.
Okay.
Right.
That's what we're going to do. Yeah. Right. And that may make some people uncomfortable. I have no issue with it. It says in the Bible, when are you else going to get an opportunity? Somebody to be alive and be like, they didn't die.
Right.
It's not really raising the dead.
Right.
It's just
they have to be dead.
Pausing the dead. Isn't that just healing the sick, I think?
Right.
Pausing the dead. That's funny.
That's a good line.
So we go and we pray, and all of a sudden I start feeling this thunder shooting through my fingertips. And I'm praying. And I remember hearing David Hogan say this very specifically. He says, I'll ask, and God will answer. And if God answers, whatever the answer is the answer. So I'm praying, and I'm going, God, and I'm just praying in tongues and going, God, your will be done here. And all of a sudden I see my good friend and pastor wave at me with Jesus and walk through a door. And I stop praying.
Yeah.
You're like, he's
done.
That's it.
That's it.
And anytime I've prayed for anybody, and I've done multiple times like this, I'll see that. I'll see the person with Jesus going through a door, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then I know there's my answer.
Yeah.
There's your answer. He ain't coming back.
He ain't coming back. He's like, no, guys, deuces. I'm out.
Right.
Right.
Staying in this. I'm going into a different dimension.
Right.
So, all right. So that happened, and I felt this thunder, and I wept for 30 minutes, and I couldn't, like, you know how God takes you, and then you're like, oh, this is cool, and you're like, I want more of you, and he goes, okay, here's a drop, and then you're like, whoa, oh my gosh.
Yes.
That was it. And so I finished that, and I'm like, huh. So then I had this not niche, I had this itch of like, I want to pray for more dead people.
Right.
That sounds weird. But I was like, I work at a hospital.
Right.
Yeah.
Plenty of opportunity.
So then I'm like, oh. So then I start praying, and every time I started praying, and I had 2 minutes with them. After we took them out, I wasn't going to do it in front of the room with all the family.
Right.
That was going to dishonor them. I was like, no. When I'm taking them to the holding place and we're putting their body in, I'll stay there for a moment and I'll pray. And we'll just see what the answer is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? So I started doing that. And every time I started doing it, I started feeling that thunder shooting through my fingertips. I was just like, whoa, this crazy amount of current energy. I was like, God, you're doing something. And every time I did it, I would see God shake his head. No. And I would know, okay, done.
Yeah.
So I'm praying for one. And I audibly hear God go, stop.
Whoa. Whoa.
Oh, okay.
Chills up and down my body.
Yeah.
Like, whoa. And God goes, you need to, if you were to continue to pray, this person will resurrect. But man is going to look at you and say that you did it.
Right.
And you're going to be idolized in a system that you broke out of, that you want nothing to do with.
Yeah.
And you will throw your whole trajectory that I've got for your life off. Are you ready for that responsibility?
Wow.
And I went, no. And he goes, I'm lovingly asking you to stop.
Whew.
So I stopped. And after that, I never prayed again over a dead body because I knew, okay, God, hey, faith has been built. If this is it, I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that if the situation were to happen and God were to provide, let's go.
Yeah.
But I also know that we alter our timeline in destiny based off of how we operate in the spirit.
Well, that's why Matthew 7, all these guys are like, Lord, we raised the dead. We did deliverance. We've done miracles, signs, and wonders in your name. And he said, the things you did were unauthorized.
Correct.
I never knew you.
Correct. And this is one of those like, okay, I'm pulling back.
Yeah.
So I pulled back and went, okay, God, I'm kind of off on this. I'm not going to continue it. And then I opened up a coffee shop. Okay. God was like, hey, I want you to get into business. I want you to help people. So I started doing that. And then we got this coffee shop started hopping. And then a friend goes, hey, I need help with photography. I said, cool. I'll help you a couple days a week. So I started doing it, but it gave me time to listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
So I'm listening to more sermons. I'm tapping in the spirit. I'm like, this is crazy. And so we go, and I get done listening to a podcast on stoichion. Stoichion is the Greek term for element. Okay?
Yes.
So in Hebrew, there's different words for it, but it's God is a God of elements. He's the rock on which we stand. He's the all-consuming fire. He's the everlasting waters. He's the breath of life.
Right.
Elements.
So for
and
us,
so much more.
So for us to go, oh, the elements are owned by New Age mysticism is total BS.
Yes.
Right.
It's total BS. So I was like, okay.
Well, they took it because the church has left it alone.
Yes.
Right.
And I'm going to lead this. This is all leads back into the hospital.
Okay.
Like I set it all up because, this is important to that. So I listened to this person start talking about stoichion and how all of a sudden their plant in their yard they're praying and they kept hearing another thing talking and they're like, God, is that you? God's like, nope, but it's not bad. And then they're like, oh, it's the tree. And they started talking with their tree, which then the tree was like, my roots have been connected to this ground for a lot. Do you want to know what's going on here? What happened on the land?
Oof.
And then they're like, yeah, if we can pray for it. So that led them into praying. Okay. And then all of a sudden people are getting set free or land deals that needed to be done are happening. And all of a sudden the earth starts healing itself and things happen. It was crazy. I've even seen it in places where there are riots. I actually would go in and pray and I would see a poison dagger in the land and we would pray and we would see it removed. And then whatever that thing was gone. And then it was like it never happened in the society. It never happened. But in places where it's left, this poison, this bitterness permeates into the people because it's got permission from the land. So throughout the history, often, you can even read in Old Testament, there were sacrifices that were made in lands, blood that was committed onto land to defile the land, to open up a door for demonic entities to operate.
Yes.
Right.
The whole point of defilement in perversion is that you're perverting and defiling something that God created and pulling it out of its intention and design.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Witchcraft, that's what it does.
Yeah.
Right.
You're subverting God's time and plan by putting your own ability and authority by defiling something
Yes.
else.
Right.
Yep.
And that leads into the witches, right? But before I go into that, my first encounter with the stoichion, I'm listening to a sermon. This person's going, stoichions, I had this encounter with a tree. It's crazy. I went, listening to it, and I went, God, that's awesome. One day I like that. I pull up to the property. I'm in the middle of nowhere, trees everywhere, and there's a fire happening 20 miles down the road. Now, if you're in California, it's fire season. Welcome to fire season. There's winter, there's pre-fire season, there's fire season, there's post-fire season, and there's winter.
Right.
That's our season.
Which most people don't even call winter.
No.
Our winters are not.
Exactly. So
Midwest winter.
Yeah.
It's
Tennis shoes
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
instead of flip-flops.
So I'm there and I'm like, okay, so I'm taking pictures of the property for sale, and all of a sudden I hear a blood-curdling scream. And it was not one that I heard I felt it in my spirit. It shook from the soles of my feet through.
Whoa.
And I went, ooh. The only other time I've felt encounters like that is in the spirit if you're dealing with somebody that's got like negative juju or they're a witch of a higher authority.
Right.
You can feel that presence, that essence coming towards you. And you're like, whoa, I felt it, but it didn't feel demonic, but it felt in trouble. So I was like, oh, I sit in my car and I just put my hand on my chest and go, God, I don't know what that was, but how do I help? And he goes, ask.
Yeah.
Okay, I ask, how can I help? And all of a sudden I hear a tree, the stoichion, speak to me and go, oh, I'm in fire. I'm burning. And I was like, is this burning a physical burning or a spiritual burning? It's like the defilement that has happened to us has been spiritual. And it led me to start finding out that these stoichion, these elementals that have been around, I ended up praying for it. And the words I always do is bring it into the loving of Christ. I go, you need to submit yourself to Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. You need to submit yourself to the King of Kings.
Yeah.
And then once they would go, I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Yeah. Wow.
And then once we'd go through that, I would then pray, hey, I just pray that the waters of heaven would come and fill your roots and that you would be satiated by God.
Yes.
And the hosts of heaven would come and bring healing to whatever's going on and stir you. And I would do that. And all of a sudden I could feel like this delight happen. And it was like, thank you. And I was like, oh, cool, that happened.
Yeah.
Well, then 2 weeks later, I'm up in the same area, farther down, and it's like, hey, remember me? It's like, oh, hey, what's up, man? Led me to talking to another stoichion, a stoichion of the air. And I found out in what they want to do is, if you're wondering where this is at in the Bible, in Judges 9, it actually talks about the fig tree going to the vine, going, will you be my master? And the vine going, I will not be your master. And the vine going, will you be my master? No, I will not. Going to the pine, I will not be your master. Right. That is actually
one of those scriptures everyone has read if you've read the Bible and just kind
thought,
of
oh, that's a metaphor.
Yeah.
No, and so what's happening is, what happens, it says the earth is groaning for the mature sons of God to take their place. Earth is speaking, and it is asking for us to take our authority and submit them to God and God's systems and authority.
Yeah.
Because the devil's been using these systems and authorities for a very long time.
Oh my gosh, I was just reading how Moses, when he sang his song, it says he said, give ear, O heavens, listen, O earth.
Yep. Absolutely.
Who's he speaking to?
And then even Jesus going, even Jesus going to the storm saying, peace be still. Why was he using a proper noun? Who is he talking to?
Right, exactly.
He was speaking to that. And it says, if you speak to the mountain and tell it to be moved, it will be. Like throughout the Bible, it's constantly referring to the elements.
So many times.
And we're like, yeah. And so when you read, what I truly believe was when God created the earth and he separated the earth and the waters, and when he separated the waters and then created the structure of the earth, he created an elemental system that operates, which is our weather system and everything.
Right.
But those operate under the design of heaven.
Yes.
And Adam and Eve's job was to help, to keep guidance. They were the shining ones. Their job was to protect everything that was going on.
Right.
That was part of their purpose of even being created, was to keep order in what God created. And so I think if we're truly wanting to walk like Jesus, I mean, Jesus spoke to a fig tree and cursed it. And people are like, well, that's allegorical. It was like, no, it can be both. It could be allegorical and it could actually be physical because it happened.
Right.
And so at what point do you allow Well, you talk to an element? Yeah.
Yeah.
All the time now.
Yeah.
And it gets to the point where I'm like, oh, but I'll see stuff in the spirit
Yeah.
and then I'll ask God, what is happening to it? And so what happens is the witches have known about this for a very long time.
Yeah.
If anybody is a nerd that has played D&D or has played anything, I'm not here to say that any of it's evil in any way. What I am going to tell you is when they go, I took the essence of the fur and then lightning in the bottle and I took the fires of my enemy and I crafted this potion. That's real. Okay, that's what they do. And that's how witches get their power.
Right.
Is they defile something to pull its essence out of it. And then they use it to manipulate, to sign a contract with an open soul tie to afflict harm unto people.
Yeah.
And I've seen
There you go.
time and time again. And it's not people, it's lands, it's cities, it's governments.
Yeah.
So even Jesus was just like, pray. Just pray.
Right.
Pray that God's will would be done on the earth.
Yeah.
Because God's will is the best for all, whether or not you love them because of their politics, whether or not you agree with them.
It's true.
But God's will is that everyone would succeed and that the earth would be flourished.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it's for me, I always run into when people start talking politics, I go, that's great, but that's not the point. You're missing the point.
Yeah.
That is saying, why is this manifesting in the earth?
Right.
Why is this happening? Why can't this land deal in the city go through? Why is the water acting the way it's acting? Why are people getting sick? And if you talk to the land, it normally will tell you. So one of the craziest stories I have on that, because I know this is the reason you brought me on was to go ham on Stoic.
We want you to go real deep.
So there was a I'm up in the hills. I just finished a photography shoot and I'm talking to this Stoichion of the clouds and he's speaking to me and I'm like, he's going, you don't understand. You talking to us is changing things. I said, well, I'm happy that's changing. It's not me though. It's Yod He Vav He.
Right.
And he goes, I understand that, but 2/3 of us don't want to do what we've been doing. We've been submitting ourselves. We've been under contract to these witches. We don't want to do it anymore. And I went, well, then don't. They're like, you mean we don't have to? I was like, God, I just asked the hosts of heaven right now to assure them, and I pray that Yod He Vav He right now would come and show them the direction they're supposed to go. I'm not assuming anything. I'm not trying to be God.
Right.
I don't want to be.
Right.
Right.
No. I'm like, no, submit to God. If you're God's creation, then you're asking and praying for the creator.
Yeah.
Let's hook it up.
Yes.
So then I'm like, cool. And it says, wow, we're ready. And I went, okay. They're like, do you have anything to ask of us? Name it. And I went, it hasn't rained. At that point, it was a 6-year drought.
Yeah.
And I went, it hasn't rained in California in a very long time up here. And we're running really low on water. It's been very scarce. We really need some water. And it was in the middle of July. And it's like, done. I went, okay. So I'm coming down from the mountain and I'm looking at my app because I got to see what's going to be happening for the next couple of days doing photography or promoting the coffee shop, whatever I got to do. And I'm looking and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, it's sunny for the next week or something. Cool. Whatever. And I'm driving down and I start seeing the clouds thicken. And I'm like,
Interesting.
because at this point, it's like, this is cool.
Right. Right.
This is awesome. This is weird. I don't know if I really want to share this. There's really no substance to it. Is this for my benefit? Is this for the benefit of all? Right. Because you do have encounters that are yours.
Yes.
And those are 100% yours and you should keep those to you.
Right. Do not throw your pearls before swine.
Absolutely. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, I don't want to push this.
Yeah.
So I'm coming down the hill and all of a sudden I'm about 15 minutes outside of town and one cloud is over my car and water starts just pouring on my car. And I went, oh. And he said, and I heard it clear, we're coming.
We're coming.
I went,
wow.
Awesome. As I'm driving into town, storm following behind me. It starts pouring.
Whoa.
Then all of a sudden I look at my app that was saying no rain for 2 weeks. It was a sudden thunderstorm with a two-day rain.
Nice.
And I went, okay. So then I get home and I decide to tell this to my mother. Hey, Mom, I know it's raining, but you're not going to believe this crazy situation. And she goes, hey, well, then if that's the case, I've been wanting to go pray for the local mountain range, the Buttes. Let's go do it. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So we go. And so at that point, I was confiding in my mother going, hey, I don't know about all this stuff going on, but I do know that something's shifting. And, and I don't know about these encounters. She goes, I'd love to have that. I said, I don't know how to, I'm not even, this was not me going, I have to have this.
Right.
This is me going, God, if whatever your will be done, be done.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, we start going towards the Buttes at night. thunderstorm is rolling through, and my mom rolls down the window yelling at the stoic. And I said, that's not how it works. It's here. You're speaking from here. You're speaking from the communion of God. God's the source. You're speaking from there.
Right.
Right. And so all of a sudden, as I'm driving through, I hear the stoic get on the mountain. I'm like, whoa. And it was just this crazy encounter. And you can feel, you know how you feel when something, a bigger authority comes. It's like where we get the word awe.
Yes.
Right. The days of awe. Well, no, awe is there's a bigger animal that could kill you.
Right.
And the hair standing up on the neck.
Yes.
Like you could die.
That's awe.
Right. And I was like, I just want the awe of God. Really? Like, let's fear the Lord.
You should have fallen on your face like you're dead.
Right.
But it's kind of fun. I had so much awe today. It's like,
no, you didn't.
The way you said it, I don't think you did.
No.
So, but we're going through and I feel this bigger presence. And I was like, oh, what is going on? And it was angry. Very, very. Yeah. I went, hey. And it's like, what do you want? I'll kill you. And I was like, hey, I'm not here to start a fight. Yeah. I'm here because I'm here acquiescing on behalf of Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh.
Yeah.
And there's been wrongs that have been done to you. There's been defilement that's been done to you that is unacceptable. For those of you who don't know, that land is an Indian burial site. And I want to say it's about 100,000 of murdered Maidu up in that area. Yeah. And the whole ground has just been brutalized. And guess what? Again, defilement leading in iniquity, leading into contracts, leading into the spiritual realm of what's going on. So all of a sudden he goes, Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, I haven't heard that name in a long time. And I said, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to serve you. And I'm here to submit you to Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. Yeah. And I want you to know that you're safe there. Yeah. The thunderstorm is rocking. The car is rocking. And I could just feel this, just supernatural energy. Yes. I was like, God, you're doing something. Yeah. And I pray. And I pray for it, just like I would pray for a 5-year-old. Like I would pray for anybody. And I say, God, just rapture him. Rapture him with your love. Host of heaven, I ask that you would come and bring clarity, bring purification. So it goes, well, there's this demonic thing up here. What do you want me to do with it? I said, get rid of it. It's done. Okay. Gone. And I felt the presence disappear. And I was like, what the heck? And I said, what's your name? Because I always like to know a name if I'm talking with him. And he goes, call me the child. I said, why would I call you the child? He goes, for another day. What? Okay. So that whole storm finishes and all this crazy stuff happens. And there was a shift spiritually. I even talked with a lot of friends that for different spiritual people. You go, hey, did you feel anything on this day? They're all, that thunderstorm was weird. There was something about that was like not normal. And everyone I talked to was like, something shifted. I was like, something shifted. I totally felt that something shifted. And so from that whole encounter, that led me into more of a journey. But what I started seeing is, as I went through the mountain again, I like to drive through there for my prayer drives. And I'm driving through there, it would talk to me and say, do you know what happened, how I became enslaved to doing the will of the demonic? I said, I'd love to know. And ultimately what happened is there was a child of the Maidu tribe that could see in the spirit and that was friends with it, right? And I was like, I can relate. Right. Yeah. And these pretty much demonic warlocks could see that he could see in the spirit. And so they murdered the child and defiled, they literally, from my understanding, raped and murdered the child right in front of the stoichion, right on its land, to defile it, to bring it into iniquity. And then from there, they said, you want us to stop? Then give us your essence, give us your purpose, give us what you want. And they use that. And so that's what's been, so you can go, why are there so many witches tapping into X, Y, and Z? That's what it is. Where's the iniquity? Where's the land? Where's the bloodshed? Where's the innocence that has been taken? Yes. And throughout, you can read throughout the Old Testament, there's constant conversations if you have defiled my innocent. Right. Because you've defiled my innocent, you must be destroyed. Right. Yeah. And so there's that amount of, I'm not going to be the destroyer, right? I'm going to submit myself to God. But there is a prayer and it's a fight. And so anytime I go to a new place, I'll just quiet my spirit and I'll stand there. And because at this point, I always pray, God, let my life be a pleasing sacrifice unto you, or a fragrant sacrifice unto you. Right. Well, that fragrance operates in the spirit too. And as that fragrance goes, you're going to have demonic things see that you're fragrant and they're going to go, ooh, I'm going to stop that. And then you'll have other things that need that going, what is that? Right. And so if you can withhold against the demonic, you can then all of a sudden God will open up the door for you to have incredible encounters with people. That's why people go, I'm going to go witness to somebody, and they always find somebody. Why? Right. Because God created us as powerful beings to go out there. And when we go, my fragrant sacrifice today, God, is to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
It's going to manifest itself.
Yeah.
Let me go back to the Buttes because 16 years ago,
there. Yeah.
my buddy Brandon, who was a colonel, major, I don't know, he's a big shot in the Air Force. He ran the Global Hawk. Came to me and said, hey, I had this vivid dream. It was a vision.
Yeah.
And Altar Rock, which is probably where the child was sacrificed,
Absolutely, yeah.
is on the north side of the Buttes.
Yep.
He said, I felt like God told us to go to the south side of the Buttes, make some declarations. And I'm like, you sure it was me, right?
Yeah, I'm not playing this game, man.
Right, exactly, right? Because at the time, I didn't understand my authority.
Sure.
So it made me nervous, right? Because I'd always heard higher levels, more devils, right? Like, and I'm already under spiritual attack.
Right. I don't need any
We
more.
do a lot of deliverance. We already have demons showing up in our houses and witches astral projecting. And so I was like, you sure it was me? And he's like, yes, God. I asked God, should I go alone? Should I take my wife? He said, no, take Drew. Great. Thank you, Father. Thank you. So he does. And it's October.
Oh, man.
And he goes, the Lord spoke to me when we're going to go. And I go, when's that? He goes, tomorrow night. Full moon, kind of deal. Great. And, the Sutter Buttes are all privately owned.
Yeah.
The different layers. And so we were basically trespassing all night as we're marching up. And it was a long hike.
Absolutely, man.
We were getting harassed by so many demons, pigs. But two things happened that really were significant. One, I was walking past this big oak tree.
Yeah.
And it had a branch. And oaks grow funky, right?
Yeah.
It had a branch that went straight horizontal for about 10 feet.
Wow.
And I was like, that's odd. And all of a sudden, I was hit with such grief.
Yeah.
I just started weeping uncontrollably.
Yeah.
And as I got closer to the tree, I didn't realize it was a stoichion talking to me at the time.
Yeah.
The tree said, so many have been hung on my branch. And I felt their pain.
Yeah.
I felt their fear.
Yep.
I felt the anguish. And I'm undone. And Brandon's looking at me like, bro, you okay?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
There's nothing okay about this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I didn't know to cleanse the land or to pray a cleansing prayer or take him back to Yod He Vav He. I didn't know any of that at the time. I may need to go back.
There you go.
But then as we're climbing further and further up, so many supernatural things happened. But one was the mountain, the demonic on the mountain started talking to me.
Yeah.
And at one point I just stopped because it reverberated inside of me so strongly. It was like, get the F off my mountain.
Yep.
And I looked at Brandon and he was in front of me about 10 feet and he stopped. And I go, did you hear that? He goes, yeah, what did you hear? I said, get the F off my mountain.
Yeah.
He goes, yes, 100%.
Yeah.
And so now we know we're on the right path.
Absolutely.
And we continued to pray in tongues, go up there, and it was phenomenal. And we decreed things over the mountain in the area. But it was so stinking powerful. Before we went on that trip, I was meeting him here at the church because there was a prayer meeting. It was like a Thursday night.
Yeah.
And he said, we need to go to the prayer meeting. And when we were here, Joaquin Evans, who is Bethel, San Antonio or something, Austin, he was there. And when he saw us, he immediately started prophesying over us.
Love it.
And it was so phenomenal. And the Lord told me, Holy Spirit said, go to Walgreens and get a recorder. Because I need you to document what you experienced.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I haven't listened to that recording in probably 10 years, but I remember listening to it like every year. And I would remember something I'd forgotten that happened.
Yeah. Wow.
Whether it was an entity, whether it was a box, whether it was this spirit that didn't say it was of God or the devil that was there. And so I just want to confirm all your deep stories because there's a lot spiritually that was happening up there.
And what we can do is pray God's will be done. That's all we can do.
Yeah.
Right. And even in my own life, if we are creative beings and have the ability to walk through destiny.
Yeah.
Destiny is what you choose it to be. And if you choose God as your master, you will always be on the right path.
Yep.
And if you're walking through that and you're submitting nature to submit to God,
and
you're submitting your relationships to God and your business to God and everything, then you're creating the proper pleasing sacrifice, pleasing fragrant offering to the Lord.
Right.
That will permeate throughout.
Yeah.
You want the blessings, then you have to create the systems and structures to be able to operate that way.
Right.
And so the witchcraft has been doing it for so long because They know we don't know these things. We don't talk about these things.
Right.
We don't do it. And they've been doing it, oh my gosh, for eons and eons, taking and stealing. So I've had, from that encounter, I keep having more and more, and it's pretty much a daily thing at this point.
Yeah.
But if you want to continue on the weird,
yes.
I have a werewolf story.
You tell the werewolf
here
story.
We go.
I was 8. I was at my house, and my brother was swapping a horror story with his, sitting around the campfire,
right, kids.
But we were inside of a room, like, go to bed. And so my brother with his friend are talking, oh, did you hear about this story, about this? Oh, what about this one? And they're telling the stories. And I could feel the spirit of fear. And I'm like, no, I'm not letting it operate.
Yeah.
Well, that was around the time when the Buttes situation happened, putting the declaration in it. And remember, I look up out the window and I see a shrouded figure with eyes walking towards me. My dog is going nuts. Now, we have a pretty big backyard. At full moon, I could see the whole backyard.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? And I'm there. My brothers are asleep. And I'm sitting there and I can feel like this intensity. He's praying in tongues, praying in tongues, praying in tongues. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm seeing. I don't know what's going on. This is crazy. And I watch, and all of a sudden I hear the dog bark, 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 bark. Dead quiet. Parents didn't wake up. Brothers are asleep. And I'm like, this is nuts. And I'm there, and
you're 8.
And I'm 8. And I'm praying in tongues. I'm praying in tongues. Now, there's a wall, and I'm here, and here's the outside. So I'm literally right next to the outside wall. And I'm laying there, and I see the thing. I keep peeking up, and I keep seeing it coming closer and closer. And so I look in the room. The moonlight is hitting everywhere except right next to the wall. So I tuck right next to the wall. As I tuck next to the wall, all of a sudden I can hear this deep breathing. And I look, and I see the shrouded figures through the moonlight. I see a shadow cast in the room, and I'm praying in tongues, praying in tongues, praying in tongues. And I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going on. And I hear a right by where my head was in the wall. And I go, Jesus, this needs to stop. And it disappeared. And I went, okay. And I'm like, maybe I had a crazy nightmare. I have those. Right. Demonic stuff. Maybe I'm going crazy. I go out there, and on the drywall, there were 3 perfect claw marks on the wall. And my dad's like, did somebody hit it with the rake? I was like, yeah.
Yeah, must have been.
Keeping that one to myself. Yeah. But there's stuff like that where, I'm a huge believer in, as a society, as we meditate on the things of God, naturally those things will manifest themselves. Yeah. And that's using the scripture and praying and seeking God in whatever you're doing in your life. Make sure that that's it. But it cannot be about just having a supernatural encounter. Right. Because now that encounter becomes your master. Yeah. Right. If all you're doing is sitting in a room and humming and saying, oh God, and you're humming, you are going to have a manifestation of God. But what was the point? Right. What did you learn about his character? What did you learn about the heart of God? How did he show you what to do next? How was there a connection? Unless God says, silent yourself and pray, that's different. Right. You're being obedient. But if it's like, I'm going to be close to God and I'm going to pray X, Y, and Z. Right. And so my concerns now that I see is, from my encounters and spiritual stuff, I'm starting to see that New Age mysticism is leading itself directly into the church, and it's becoming sensationalism over encounter with God, to where it's, you have to encounter God, but you have to do it. If you do it this way, you'll always encounter him. And I'm like, that doesn't seem biblical to me. Yeah. God, I have an issue with that. Right. To the point where I have a lot of friends, well, we won't even talk about the subjects. I'm very much, my life has been pray. Right. Every night I pray, and I take myself to labor, and I ask God, purify my heart, or anything that I have, take my hands, anything that I've touched that I shouldn't have touched, my feet, anywhere I've gone. I just do a whole cleansing, and I submit myself to you, and my destiny is the doorway that I will walk through, that you've chosen for me. Yeah. And I submit that every day to God, and that's my prayer.
Well, it's funny you say that. I remember, everybody's concerned about EMFs and microwaves and 5G. And I remember getting wrapped up in that and doing research. Sure. What should I do? Should I tinfoil my smart meter? Should I get that taken off? And then I remember at some point the Lord just spoke to me and said, hey, Drew, it's really simple. Yeah. No weapon formed against you can prosper.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So claim that. That's like the nuclear attack on all of it. So now when I pray for food, or they're messing with our water, the food, the fluoride, all, I just go, you know what? No weapon formed against me shall prosper.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to concern myself with it. I'm not going to buy all this stuff and put my phone in a Faraday case all the time and keep it off my body. I'm just like, no. You don't get to touch this.
Absolutely.
This is fully submitted to God.
Yeah.
So whatever happens to me, you know, I just go, Jesus, I gave you my life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if something happens to me, that's your business.
Yeah.
Well, none of mine.
Well, I also lean in, if something is happening, God, what was it that was the open door?
Right.
How can I pray?
Exactly.
But then there's also physicality. When something happens to your body, there is the prayer. But then if you're not doing the physical activity, if you're not submitting yourself, like I believe in God as the perichoresis, the happy dance, right?
Yes.
It's this give and take.
Circle
the Father,
dance
Son,
happens.
and it's I'm going to submit to you.
Is it more of a cha-cha or a waltz?
I think it's the tango.
It changes.
A little intimate. It's a little intimate.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Tango.
dang, this is how can you tango with three? That's a godly concept. But I see that, right? But I also go, how is that? That is relevant to our family structure.
Yeah.
Right? Which is under a direct attack. But
Always.
it's also under our mind, right? Our soul, our mind, will, and our emotions, but our soul, our spirit, and our heart.
Yeah.
And so we are a triune being within ourselves. And what happens is we go, oh, well, that happened to my spirit. That's fine. And then it manifests in your soul.
Right.
And then you're like, well, that's fine. And what happens, we either over-spiritualize something that's a soul thing, or we over-soul something that's a spiritual thing. Instead of it being the perichoresis, if we can't be harmony in our mind, will, and emotion, in our physical body, and in our spirit, and if one of those is lacking, that's an open door.
Yeah.
And so I always go, okay, God. And God's like, you're going to go for a walk today. I'm like, I don't want to walk today. That's why you need to go for a walk, because I care about your soul and you need to take care of it.
Right.
And so when we neglect any part of our body, it becomes an open contract.
Yes.
Because we're defiling it.
Well, you're touching on what we're doing as a series, Spirit, Soul, Body, and I just can't get off of it.
Yeah.
And one of the things, you know, I've been with Dan Duvall, listening to his teachings and stuff, is that my spirit, soul, and body each have their own mind.
Yep.
And science has proven that.
Absolutely.
The same cells you got in this brain up here, you got in your gut, you got in your heart.
Yep.
So we do have three different minds. And my soul can be happy about something.
Yeah.
That my spirit is totally like, no, that's terrible.
Exactly.
Don't be happy about that. Right? And so there's this, what you're saying is true. We've got to get it into proper alignment, fully submitted to God at every level.
Yep.
And being able to hear his still small voice saying, hey, go take that walk.
Absolutely.
And you're like, why should I walk?
Yeah.
Because I know something you don't.
Precisely.
Your body's mind doesn't know this, but I know it. And your spirit's probably going, yeah, go take the walk, Joe. Right?
Exactly. And when you're going through it, you know, I remember, if you're hearing this and I'm going to go and pray, and I'm going to pray against some demonic thing, and I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to just tell a little story on that one. So in Marysville, this is where Anton LaVey operated, right? In Marysville. And in that area, there's a lot of occult. There's a lot of demonic entities. There's a lot of stuff. And it's something that you do not just go and, I'm going to go walk and pray around.
Right. Because I got the full armor on.
Unless you're me. I woke up one day and I was like, I'm feeling so full of God. And I'm like, God, what do you want to do today? And I didn't hear an answer. And my wife goes, what are you going to do today? And she had work. I was like, you know what? I'm going to just go walk.
Yeah.
She goes, where? I'm going to go walk around the levee of Marysville and pray. She goes, oh, okay. Thinking, he talks to God.
Right.
He knows.
Right.
So I go.
Right.
And so I call my mom, say, hey, I'm going to do this. Doesn't answer her phone. So then I go to call Uncle Pastor Bob. And I went, hey, no answer. So then I'm walking. No cell service. I start walking around. Start having some interesting encounters with people, and I just keep praying.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this thing. I'm God, and I just plead the blood of Jesus over this. I plead the blood of Jesus. I'm just doing it. And I am just going ham on this thing. Walk around the entire thing. And I get done. And it's about 3-hour walk. It's a big walk. And I get done. And I was like, sweet. I look down at my phone. I finally have reception. 4 missed calls from my mom. 5 missed calls from Uncle Pastor Bob. And they're like, don't walk around the levee.
Oh, no.
And I was like,
too late.
So I call them, what if I did? They're like, we need to pray right now. So then I'm like, so then I head over. There was a prayer meeting happening. They were both there. I go there and I start praying and I start weeping because I realized God never actually told me. I thought it was going to be a great idea to go and do this thing.
Yes.
So I go over there and I start coughing and stuff starts shifting. And I'm like, what's going on? I wake up the next day with a body rash. They're like, did you change your soap? Did you do right? They go to the doctor thing. And I'm working at the hospital. So I come in with a rash where I look like literally hives from the top of my head all the way to the bottom of my feet. Everything hurt. And I go in and they're like, oh, what happened? I was like, I don't know. I woke up with it. They're like, go to the ER. So I go to the ER and they're like, they do a test. They're like, yeah, nothing is contagious. You're not alert. I don't know what this is. You're going to have to work. So I worked 3 weeks with a rash. That burned and itched and hurt. And every time I put an ointment on it and I prayed, and every time it happened, it was this reminder of like, God was just like, you have to submit to me in my plan and purpose, which brings us into the unity element of we're all called to do something different. We're all called to be beautifully and wonderfully made, but we have to submit that to God, which leads into, submitting the stoichion to your heva. It's not about me, right? The encounters that I have with God are about me submitting myself to him and him giving them to me because he loves me. It has nothing to do with me. Joe Steele doesn't benefit from it. And if I do, it's because God's blessing is on it, not because of me. And I think there's that amount of submitting ourselves to God, going, God, your will be done from my mind, my soul, my spirit, to the spirit in the earth, through the spirit in the heaven, through every interaction I have with somebody, with everything that I do. That should be our fragrant offering that we're leaving to the Lord. And it cannot be about glory hunting, which I've seen way too much of, or religious dogma that leads you to death, but it can't not have structure. It's just that balance, man. It's that perfect balance. And when we're in it. Some of the most incredible spiritual encounters I've had, good and bad, have always happened in that realm.
Of course, because that's where it's at, right?
Absolutely, man.
And the problem with religion is religion goes Scripture. Well, I said to Pastor Dave years ago, and I was reminded of it because Facebook memories pop up, know, and Dave posted this like 16, 17 years ago, because he once asked me, he said, Drew, if you could summarize your 17-year journey in religion, right? We were on staff I was 15 years pastoring, all the stuff. He goes, what would it be? And it was a Holy Spirit moment.
Sure.
Because I would have never thought this. I said, Dave, we left the power on the pages.
Yes.
That's it, in a nutshell. I knew my Bible. I can argue scriptures with you. I can preach sermons. I can, but the power was left on the pages. Wasn't walking in any power at all.
No.
And that's the problem with the church. And these things, for some people who are watching, who don't understand, because they never walked the power of God, because he gave us authority and power.
Absolutely.
And if you don't understand your authority, power's dangerous.
It's very dangerous.
And you'll do stupid things like go walk the levees and rebuke the devil.
Probably shouldn't do that. Yeah, it's probably not a good idea.
Yeah, I used to be frustrated in deliverance because I would fight any demon I sensed. And I'd get it on and drive demons out of homeless people, and I'm making them worse. Right? I didn't know it at the time. Or I'd pray for people I knew were witches. They want me to deliver them so they can get more powerful ones to come in.
Absolutely.
Right?
And you're being used, not even knowing it.
And so now I don't do anything. People call me, hey, can you come pray for my cousin? He's, losing his mind. I got to stop and ask God.
Absolutely.
Because I don't want to do an unauthorized act. Because I can.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing about free will, that God gave us free will, and it's very dangerous.
It's very dangerous.
If you're immature.
Very
dangerous.
Another crazy story if we got time for it. So when I first opened the coffee shop, so the coffee shop opened because my wife always had a dream of opening up a spot. And then God put it in my spirit. And for 3 weeks, I smelled coffee everywhere. And every conversation ended with coffee and started with coffee.
Right.
And not even me going, they're like, man, coffee. And I'm like, why are we even talking?
Right.
And I knew it was God. And so I led that to Regina. I left it to her. And then we prayed, fasted, and gave it to my mom. And my mom went, God's saying it's by opening the coffee shop, he's going to turn you into the people he's called you to be.
Nice.
Now, why would you say no to that?
Right.
So I went, we're doing it. So we jumped in with both feet. God has been faithful, and we've had incredible encounters. And one person was walking by the shop, and I didn't realize I went to school with her. And she stops and went, I'm supposed to go in there. She opens the door. She goes, hi. And I say, hey, can I help you? She's like, I'm supposed to talk with you. I went, okay. Well, it's dead right now. Let's have a conversation. So we sit down and start talking. I find out she's in New Age practices. She's pretty much a New Age priest. And she starts talking about how she's started stepping into the spirit, but having these sensationalistic moments, and how there are these benevolent spiritual beings wanting her to submit herself, and that they would do all these wonderful things. And for the first time, I could see exactly what she was seeing to the detail of the entity. And I went, what about this on it? She's like, you can see it? It's like, not through me, but through God. Yeah, I can see it. What's going on with that? She goes, well, that's nothing. I said, no, that's Moloch.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it doesn't say that. It's that. I was like, but what authority do you have to ask it?
Right.
I come with the King of Kings, Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. I can come in and ask it.
Right.
She's like, oh, it'll be fine. So that led into a conversation to where I found out her and a family member, their mother was a high-level witch. And I ended up praying with them. And it has led them on this path to find God and to break them free from these things.
Yes.
But some of the conversation, stuff that there was no way I could know.
Right.
We're sitting there having a cup of coffee, and she's like, so I'm talking to this guy, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, 6 foot, black hair, glasses, works here, wearing this shirt. This is what he drives. And it was
right.
Like,
It's
like God took my tongue. I was like, what? She's like, how did you know that? I was like, that's God. I'm not going to pretend to know that at all.
Right.
And she's like, well, and any question she had in the spirit, I could see, and I could go, you're not wrong in what you're seeing, but the problem is, where is your source?
Right.
Well, I'm my source. But your source will run dry.
Yes.
Your source can be polluted. Your source can be tainted. I think of the Christmas Carol, when he sees the aberration that shows up to him. I love this. He goes, how do I know that you're the ghost? How do I know you're not a bad piece of beef that I ate or a bad piece of cabbage? How do I know you're actually manifesting in front of me? Right. And the ghost goes, I don't care. Right. And pretty much says, you're going to be haunted by 3 ghosts. I'm trying to warn you.
Right.
It's that in the spirit. We question and go, how do I know? But if you don't have the protection of God, it doesn't matter what you know.
Right.
And so
100%.
you'll start seeing parallels when you get into demonology and angelography, and you're running into these studies of all these things, and study Enoch, and you start going through all these, you will find they start to parallel very simply with New Age mysticism.
Yeah.
And you'll start finding out the separation is one involves a sacrifice of will and one doesn't. Jesus was the example of being the sacrifice for us.
Yes.
Right.
Which means we have to sacrifice, whether, God, I don't know what this thing is. I give it to you. I sacrifice it to you so you can keep me safe. You can assure my pathway. New Age mysticism's like, go for the glory, go for whatever it is. It doesn't matter. There's no limits to God. Time out.
Right.
Yeah.
Drew, you're my friend. If you just showed up in my house one day and I didn't give you a key, I'd be like, what? Calling the cops.
Right.
You're here illegally. Yeah.
And that's the same way it works in the spirit. And so I have this. So I talking with her and praying through, I was having the same conversation with her I was having with friends that left the church that were going on New Age. Well, it's just these special things. It's just, I'm only using these tarot cards to help with X, Y, and Z. I'm only, and I'm like, who's your master?
Right.
Who are you sacrificing to?
Right.
Like, I love my wife and I choose to sacrifice daily for her. I love my kids. I get to choose to lay down my life for them daily. Right. And that's what the Bible says. Do a daily thing. If you know who your master is, everything becomes easy. And so if you're hearing this and you're hearing all these awesome supernatural things, you have to know who your master is.
Yeah.
Right.
Or you'll have an encounter. That'll be it.
Yeah.
Right.
I've seen plenty of people get possessed by things by playing with fire.
Yep.
You know, I even told somebody the other day, they were talking about, oh, I'm pursuing God and I'm having these crazy encounters. I said, if you find yourself painting a pentagram in the middle of your room, chanting, because you're trying to have an encounter with God, you should question how you got there.
Right. 100%.
There's a realism to it. If you're going for the encounter, everybody is.
Right.
Yep.
The whole point of Buddhism, the whole point of deism, the whole point of all these things is that. The only thing they don't have is the sacrifice of a loving God to keep you grounded and to keep you safe and to keep you under submission, because when we submit to God, God will just honor.
Yes.
So good.
So good. There's so many ways we can go. Like, we're going to have you back.
Dumb down, man.
And we're going to talk more into all of the above.
Yes.
Let's do it, bro.
So
because, you know, I just we'll end here.
Yeah.
Unless you got something.
No. It's just
You're
a
just
lot. I'm like, oh, it's a lot to
digest, right?
Good. Everything.
Because of our free will, we can do incredibly, imaginably more,
Yep.
But the thing you touched on that I think is so key, and I wanted to leave it with our listeners, is
absolutely.
If you're not submitted to God, like on the daily, the hourly, the moment by moment, you can screw yourself up and think you're finding God when you're actually finding Satan, who masquerades as an angel of light. And I know that all too well because I had a sister who could astral project and do all this stuff. And she told me she met Paul and Jesus and da-da-da. And then she committed suicide. And her suicide sounded, because I got to read the note, like it was to level up in spiritual power. And I remember it just breaking my heart to the point where I was like, God, is she even saved? And not only, and I'll save this for another time, I think I've shared it before.
Sure.
Sent me an angel, then a confirmation. Through Pastor Cheryl, who called me right after the very words the angel spoke to me, she spoke to me. And I was like, okay, God, I'm good. Her soul is good.
Yeah, absolutely.
But she was deceived for a decade. Having spiritual encounters and doing all the stuff, thinking she was following God.
Absolutely.
When it was not. Because he masquerades as an angel of light.
The craziest experience I had with that, I was praying with a friend. We went to the courts of heaven, and he goes, it's different. And I said, you should be seeing this. This is my experience. What do you see? And normally it's always within the same ball.
Right.
And he goes, I'm not seeing that. I said, when Jesus should be opening the door for you to walk through. And he goes, I see Jesus, but he's got this weird smile. I went,
that ain't the real Jesus.
That's not Jesus, buddy. Ask him to show you his true form. And all of a sudden he sees that it was Satan and he was in the throne of hell. And it was an open door from demonic heritage that had happened in his bloodline that led that from his mother and father. And we ended up praying and ended up just going, okay, God, well, he can't see this stuff. I said, are you willing to make a change? He says, yes. I said, okay, well then we're going to break off some stuff. We went through and broke stuff off so he could see, but it's exactly what you're saying. He was very supernatural, very spiritual person, still have amazing conversations with him. But when you're that sensitive and you don't know you are, you start taking what other people say is truth. Look, if what I'm talking about with Stoichion, go out there and talk. Go out there and have an experience. Say, God, I want to have that. And if it's true, God will have that manifestation. And if it's not, then guess what? No skin off your back. Continue your life. Because that's how it works. But submit it to God and let him be the guiding factor.
Beautiful, man. Thank you for joining us.
Heck yeah, man.
We'll have to continue.
For sure.
You want to take us out?
Yep.
All right.
That's good. Thank you, Joe, for being with us. So fun. Thank you all for listening. Please like, subscribe, share. We'll see you next week.
Yes, we will.